Hey, it's been a while. If this is your first time on my channel, hi, I'm Switz, the caffeinated witch, and this is where I talk about things that I've been reflecting on spiritually. So, in my last videos, I was talking a little bit about wanting to explore the concept of death, kind of as we move into the darker half of the year, at least in this hemisphere. And I have been thinking about that over the past month. I haven't really been on here often at all, but I've been in here a lot. Yeah, I don't really know how to start this video or really get back into this or any of that stuff. I just kind of wanted to come on here and talk about what I've learned through just sitting with myself and reflecting on death and the kind of death goddess archetype that I've been working with. So I have a journal entry that I wrote. It's kind of like a stream of consciousness kind of / reflection after a meditation on a specific thing. So it might make sense. I think it does make sense, but I wrote it so I kind of know where I was coming from. Hopefully sharing it will still make sense. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of hesitant. I'm very hesitant to get into this because obviously it's a vulnerability, right? Sharing something that you've written. I'm not trying to say that this is some masterpiece, nor was I intending for it to be, but it's just something that came from deeper parts of me that I'm willing to share with really anyone. So I guess that's kind of the best intro I can give. So this was written November 14th of 2017 after I thought about kind of what Samhain means to me and the things that I've kind of focused on and discovered about myself this past year, because I've only been practicing for about a year. Yeah. So, what have I learned? Death happens. It is not good or bad. It just is. It hurts. It's just. And it's right. Death is the law. It does me no good to run or hide from it. Sleep and transformation and disappointment and cycle and growth at times all look the same. I don't need to be this weary, but I don't need to shame myself for it either. These concepts, fear and death, are both necessary. They've been with me, with all of us, from the start. They've been with me, but they are not me. I am dying. I have been dying from the moment I was born. Everyone is. If I think about this too long, the earth starts to swallow me whole. I feel as if there's nothing beneath my feet but the dark depths of our collective demise. Our other world, the other place. We fear the other. There's a tipping point to my fear. It's a moment in which I snap from an icy paralysis to a blaze of self-righteous, self-driven self-destruction. I need to find the space between. the cycles, the spectrum, as opposed to the duality, the extreme. Hiding is of no use. So that's the first half of the century. I don't even know how to begin to dissect this. So I don't know. I'm just gonna try. I mean, I think where I was coming from with this is like, I understand fear as something that's kind of like built into us as humans, because we needed it before the modern age, I guess, in order to protect ourselves, right? It's, if we didn't have fear at all, if it was completely eradicated from us, we would do really stupid things, and it's not good to be completely separated from fear, but I also certainly don't want it to run my life the way that it has in the past, the way that it still does today sometimes. So I guess it's just a contemplation on that. I don't know if it's really any kind of answer, but it's something more to think about. I guess also I started this path kind of thinking about things in terms of like dual natures, and there's this side and there's this side. And what I've learned working with kind of the idea of death and the idea of sort of a transformative goddess in a way. I guess I would consider Persephone to be transformative. I feel like it's not so much about duality, but it's more about how you get from one to the other, what happens in between, and because we do exist in all of these spaces, right? There's the one side and the other side, the light and the dark, the life and the death, and we're existing in that space in between, and I need to give myself, my inner self, sort of space to breathe in that space between. That was really rambly. I just don't want to be a person who's either completely frozen by fear of achieving my dreams, or the fear of losing something or someone that I hold dear. I don't want to be somebody who's so frozen by that I can't live my life. But I also don't want to do this thing that I've done in the past, where I feel like I have to be so explosive in rejecting that fear that I become reckless, and I just kind of abandon reason. I think I need that balance and that space in between. And somehow those concepts, death and fear and, liminality, are all related somewhere in my subconscious. This is making sense. I think the more I try to put it into words, the harder it is to grasp onto something. But yeah, that's kind of what that was about. I don't want to hide from things, and I don't want to be irrational. I want to sit and think and contemplate things and understand that there's a cycle to life. There's a cycle to, you know, the seasons kind of within myself. Yeah. So the next part, there's like a little bit of a change in what I think I was thinking about. Because the first part was sort of about accepting change and accepting things that are difficult, and the fact that I just have to deal with those things, whatever they may be in the moment. And this next part is kind of, I think, more of a connection to Persephone. And I guess I'll explain why after I read it. When the darkness or the shadow or the winter arrives, I need to keep my eyes open. Things can become clear in the darkness. Stillness allows for contemplation. Black waters reflect that which I am too afraid to see, but so desperately want to face. I already know the answer. I've seen it. I just need to keep looking down. The colder and darker it gets, the more we curl into ourselves. I found more of myself in the void and the vastness than I ever thought possible. So that's some like real emo kind of stuff. But what I was feeling was, I think that my whole issue with death as a concept was not even so much that what I saw when I thought about death was frightening, but it's that I was too afraid to even look at all. You know, to look at the darkness or to look at my fear, or to really, even just on a mundane level, see what death looks like and what it does to people. Because I have no personal frame of reference for that, really. I've never experienced that concept. I've never lost anyone close to me. I've been horrified to even entertain that thought. And I don't think that's healthy. Not that I want to sit around and just like think about all my loved ones dying. That's not healthy at all either. But again, there's an in-between that I'm grasping for right now, this time of year, and yeah, I just hope all of this makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense kind of outside of myself, like if it doesn't make sense to you, that is okay, because I guess I'm just trying to like get these words out for myself and figure out how I feel about it outside of just like this inside, like internal space where I'm thinking and I'm writing and I'm not really like verbally articulating. For whatever reason, I want to verbally articulate it. And I'm finding that it's difficult to do, but here I am. I'm trying. So if it does make sense to you or you have thoughts on this, like, please do share with me what you think, because I'd love to have a conversation with one of you about it. I really want to talk to another witch about it so that I can kind of get a feel for, I don't know, like, I guess what, like, the collective thought is when it comes to our spiritual relationship with death. So the part about black waters, I had a meditation session where I kind of made the connection that, yes, I could name this archetype that I've been working with Persephone. And it involved kind of sinking into is like a black ocean, which I found really interesting, because when I sort of found the name Apollo for sort of the deity that I was working with through summer, it was like an ascending. I lifted into a light. And I wrote about this in a blog a while ago on Amino, for anyone interested. Whatever, you can check it out. But this one was a sinking. So I knew immediately that I was gonna kind of connect to an underworld energy. And I don't know if it was like a black river, or it was it was a body of water, and it was kind of cave-like and womb-like, and I don't know. It was calming, which is good. I wasn't afraid, like, for a moment, so that's always good. Yeah. And I was in that space, and I felt like I was experiencing some sort of comfort in nothingness, or like in a void. And that's also kind of what I think I'm expressing here about, or when I say that when it gets cold and when it gets dark, we curl into ourselves, right? We want to like sort of put on a cozy sweater, or wrap ourselves in a blanket, or just like hug ourselves, or hold someone else and cling on to some warmth, but we turn into ourselves for that warmth because we no longer have the outside sun really to provide as much of that for us as we did in the summer. And I think that this can reflect sort of cycles of life as well as cycles of the seasons, like I've been talking about. But I think it's telling that we kind of physically go into ourselves, because a lot of times we go into ourselves spiritually as well. And kind of, it's a time to, for me at least, as opposed to manifesting things as much as I was during those summer months, and kind of like using that fire and that heat and that creation energy, it's now sort of like an inward, reflective, holding space for myself energy. So I didn't really intend for this video to be as long as it was, as usual. I don't know when I'll get around to posting it, although if you're listening to me saying that right now, obviously I've posted it. I'm figuring stuff out. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me as always. Please, 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 if any of this made any sense to you at all, talk to me in the comments below. I will comment back. Maybe we'll have a chat, and it'll be great. So I do hope you join me down there if any of this spoke to you at all. So, yeah. See you around.